Well, what's up, guys? It is Frankie here. It is week 7 of the 2021 NFL season. It is time to make some predictions. We are going to be picking every game except the Chiefs-Titans game because the Titans haven't played yet. Other than that, let's get on with week 7. The Thursday night game, the Denver Broncos and the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are 4.5-point favorites. The Broncos coming off a tough loss against the Raiders, which is just kind of inexplicable. Like, how do you lose to a team that had one of the worst weeks we've ever seen in the NFL? I mean, the Raiders there was no reason for the Raiders to win that game, and they look completely unprepared to play. It's almost like they just took that game off, like, we got it. And they looked terrible in the second half the entire way through. Just a bad performance there from Denver. And then Cleveland also looked terrible, but that's because, there were some injuries there. Baker aggravates his left shoulder. He commits more turnovers. OBJ drops a pass in the red zone, a fourth down pass in the red zone. Kareem Hunt carted to the locker room with a right calf injury. I mean, you're already losing Nick Chubb. You already lost 2 offensive tackles, 2 straight losses. The defense is a mess right now. I mean, the defense looks completely just decimated here. I mean, it is Kyler Murray, but I would expect more from guys like Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. I mean, I guess they did fine, but everybody else, it seems like they do a bad job with the coverage there. So I will say this. There are not a lot of games for me there are not a lot of upsets. I think a good upset picks this week. I look at a lot of these games and I'm like, yeah, these spreads are good. There's no ridiculous, like, oh, this spread should be different. I look at all these spreads and I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So I have to reach for some of these upsets. And I'm going to reach with Denver here. I don't know the status of, Baker says he's going to try to play through his left shoulder injury. But 4.5 is a big number. The Browns have really fallen apart here a little bit here. The defense is bad. So I'm going to say Denver, even though Denver just completely no-showed against the Raiders. I'm going to say Denver, maybe not win, but covers the spread here. I think this could be this is a very good chance this is a 3-point game. Close, interesting battle there. And Denver also with some injuries. Alexander Johnson, Garrett Bowles. So this is an injury-laden game. Another just awful Thursday night game. The Browns actually aren't awful when they're healthy, but they've got so many problems right now. I'm going to take the Broncos to cover the spread here. I think Teddy has a good performance. I think they get through Cleveland's struggling defense here. Browns still win, but I think the Broncos cover. Give me the Broncos plus 4.5. The Washington football team takes on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 9.5-point favorites. Washington had a chance on Sunday against Kansas City. They really looked like they played well in the first half there, and then eventually Kansas City came through. Taylor Heineke, he just is what he is at this point. The team is. It's not all his fault that they're missing 4 starters, but he holds on to the ball too long. He's not able to move around in the pocket that much. We'll see if they're going to move to Kyle Allen if Fitzpatrick gets back. What the problems are there, but they are what they are. They're not a very good team. It was a better defensive performance from Washington, but still, it wasn't enough. Missing Curtis Samuel, so there was the problems there with Washington. Green Bay, good win yesterday against Chicago. It took them a while to get going, but then eventually they did, and then the now iconic Rodgers quote, "I still own you." We said that to Bears fans after he ran for the 6-yard touchdown there late in the game, did the championship belt celebration, otherwise known as discount double check. And then he said to the fans, "I still own you," which is fair. He's 22-5 against Chicago in his career. And if there's one problem with Green Bay right now, it's way too many injuries. You lose Jerry Alexander, Zadarius Smith, plus Kevin King, Preston Smith, and Darryl Savage, both with injuries during the game. They've been without Valdez Scantling. They lost Josh Myers. There's so many injuries right now with this team. There's something that is it's keep getting decimated. But I think they keep finding ways to win. I think Washington is just struggling right now. The quarterback position's weak there. Rodgers is playing well. They've won 5 in a row. The defense does give up too many touchdowns in the red zone, which is a problem there. But I think they'll be able to overcome that here. I just can't trust Washington here. 9.5 points. It's a lot, even with all the injuries with the Packers. Can't trust them here to cover to win this game, especially after I picked them yesterday against Kansas City and they really let me down there. I guess it was Kansas City, but they hung on well in the first half and then eventually they let go in the second half. I think in this game Green Bay takes advantage. Rodgers delivers. Green Bay's offense delivers, and I think even with all the injuries, I think Green Bay comes through and wins this one pretty easily. Give me the Packers minus 9.5. The Atlanta Falcons take on the Miami Dolphins. The Falcons are 2-point favorites. Whatever. Both these teams are dreadful. Atlanta just coming off a bye. They beat the Jets. Whoop-de-doo. Miami also, this is the London Bowl. Both of these teams come from London. Atlanta wins, which good job against the Jets. Miami becomes the first team since last September to lose to Jacksonville, which I don't know how you do that. I know Tua came back in his return. That was great there, but just for a team that we thought was going to make the playoffs this year, for them to drop to, or that was at least in the talks to be contenders for the playoffs this year, for them to be 1-5, pretty bad. So, and then now you've got a winnable game here against Atlanta, and then Buffalo, probably not a winnable game. Someone's got to win this game. I'll take Atlanta. I just think they're a little better. Don't bet this game. Under no circumstance should you bet this game. But if I had to bet, I'll take Atlanta. Give me the Falcons -2. The New York Jets and New England Patriots. The Patriots are 7-point favorites. I don't have much good to say about the Jets anymore, except they might be the second worst team in New York, considering how bad the Giants are. I mean, think about how bad they were against Atlanta. Atlanta was the 32nd ranked defense in the league at the time, and the Jets struggled against it. That just shows the depths of patheticness with the Jets organization right now. It's not New England's time. This year's not New England's year, but you could definitely see next year this team contending for an AFC East title. If they're able to figure out the problems here. They were able to hang on against Dallas. They kept that game much closer than I thought they would if it wasn't for the Mac Jones pick 6. But then he responds right back with the 75-yard touchdown. Defense couldn't get a stop in overtime here. Yet another game in which they almost beat Tampa. They almost beat Dallas here, two of the top teams in the NFC. Yeah, I don't think this year is it for New England, but I could definitely see next year if they just fix a couple things here. And Mac Jones is another year on its belt. I can really see this team contending next year for an AFC East title. And they played a much better game. They actually played, even though they lost against Dallas, they played a much better game here than against Houston. Houston was all over the place. Really struggled in that one. Struggled to put them away. This was they really went toe to toe with Dallas for good portions of that game. So in this game, I'm taking New England. The Jets completely just stink. I'll just be frank with that. And New England just looks like a much better team right now. Mac Jones has got it going here. It's not all the way there, but you can really see what this guy. You really see the seeds of what could be a really good NFL career here. 7-point favorites. I'm liking New England in this situation. Give me the Patriots -7. The Carolina Panthers take on the New York Giants. The Panthers are 2.5-point favorites. Another just blah game. You know what? I really wanted to think that Sam was going to turn it around here in Carolina. And he started off as well. Although, in fairness to him, there are two major problems right now with Carolina. One, the offensive line, trash, and he doesn't have McCaffrey there. So he's completely discombobulated. Was not able to pick up the victory yesterday against Minnesota. They tried, came close, but yeah. So that Carolina season looks like it's falling apart. I have nothing good to say about the Giants at all. This is a complete disaster. John Mara needs to fire everybody, rebuild from scratch. Probably move on from Daniel Jones, even though it's not totally his fault. Move on from Gettleman, it's mostly his fault. Move on from Joe Judge, some of it's his fault. And their defense is pure garbage. There's nothing good with this defense right now. They can't cover anybody. They can't tackle anybody. It is a disgrace right now what's going on with this Giants team. I'm going to go with the Panthers -2.5. I just feel like the Giants are in total free fall mode here. I think Carolina is still able to hang in there. I think there's nothing good left for the Giants. Give me the Panthers -2.5. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 6.5-point favorite. Bengals dominating one against Detroit. It is Detroit, but they got it done here. It took them a while. They struggled there in the first half. They didn't really. I mean, what did they have? They had a stretch where they gained 5 yards on 6 plays in the second quarter. It took a long time to get going, but they did end up scoring 34 points. They did rack up 400 yards against the Lions, even though they are one of the worst teams in the NFL. But they got it done there. Baltimore, man, that was one of the best victories of the year. I mean, a lot of people were thinking that the Chargers were going to pull off that upset. A lot of people were really high on the Chargers. I, myself, even though I picked the Ravens, I'm like, I would not be surprised if the Chargers pulled this off. And the Ravens destroyed them. Up, down, all three, offense, defense, special teams, all three elements of the game, they destroyed them here. And it showed that Baltimore is a legit contender right now for the AFC. I know that Baltimore's had problems in the playoffs, and that's why you'd be a little hesitant of them. But Lamar was incredible. The Baltimore run defense completely just neutered Justin Herbert. They led by 4 touchdowns at the start of the fourth quarter. And yeah, they really looked good on Herbert and the Chargers receiving, because the Ravens' pass defense had been struggling up until that point. They had the 28th ranked pass defense, but they held Herbert to 195 passing yards. So that was the most complete game we've seen from them all year. They looked really good, and now they're heading off to take on Cincinnati here. Ravens 5-1. They look amazing, and I think that continues here. Cincinnati, I like Burrow. I like Chase. Those two are going to be a good combination together, as I've talked about. But Baltimore's on another level. They are a top contender here in the AFC, in the NFL, and I think that they're going to show that here at home. I think this is a very easy victory for the Ravens. Give me the Ravens -6.5. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are 3-point favorites. Eagles came close against Tampa Bay, but not enough. It's actually not really Jalen Hurts' fault. I mean, thinking about it, he's accounting for 87% of the Eagles' yardage on offense. They really need help anywhere else. The running backs against Tampa Bay received 1 carry in the first half. They really need, and yeah, there are times where Herbert really needs to be more consistent. But just a problem there. They've dropped 4 out of 5. Their offense, they really need to find someone else other than Hurts to make plays, and so that's a problem there. I was stunned by the Raiders' victory yesterday. I did not think there was any chance they were going to pull that off, especially after just how disastrous of a week that was, with Gruden getting fired, with all the drama surrounding that. For Rich Bisaccia, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. Apologies if I'm not. For him to come in, his first game as an intern coach, and to beat Denver. And Denver's not an excellent team, but considering how terrible a week you had, you should have lost that game by 10. And to be able to pull that off for Greg Olsen, to pull off play calling duties there, they looked like they had it really good. Carr had his 4th game of 300-plus passing yards in the season. The Raiders were much better. I forgot the Raiders started off 3-0, and then it all fell apart. You had a great game from Henry Ruggs, Josh Jacobs, all around Kenyon Drake, all around great offensive performance, and they forced 4 turnovers, including 3 interceptions. So they really had it going here. I don't know how much longer it's going to last, because I don't think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs. I think it's just going to be a slow descent, but I do think they're going to win this game here. Philadelphia has too many problems on offense. The Raiders should be able to. They're going to be at home. There's going to be some great momentum there. I think the Raiders are going to win this game, maybe by a 6 or 7 here. It'll be tough because the Raiders I don't think are that good, but I think eventually they will pull it off. They will get the win. They will beat the Eagles. Give me the Raiders -3. The Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are 15.5-point favorites. You guys know, if you follow the show, you know that I have a hard time covering. I have a hard time betting the underdog in a game of this spread. Because for some reason, I'm like, I know that's a lot of points, but at the same time, I'm like, is it accurate? I mean, Detroit is terrible. Detroit is bad. And Jared Goff, I mean, he just continues to just sink into depression here. I mean, I would. 28 for 42, 202 yards, and an interception. I mean, he's probably going to keep that job, but it's so bad right now for Detroit. They look terrible coming out of the gate again. They've gone 4 straight games without a first half touchdown. They're the lone team in the league to trail by double digits in every game this season. There's just nothing going right for them. And the Rams are coming off an amazing win against the Giants. Even though the Giants have proven to be very, very bad. They once again, I mean, they just really dominated there. 38-11 win over the Giants. Great offensive performance. Stafford looked amazing. The defense really, they forced 4 turnovers. They really put a lot of pressure on the Giants there. And the offense took 3 of those turnovers and turned them into touchdowns. So that was excellent there. And just everybody from top to bottom really showed it here in this game. So now they take on 2 bad teams in a row, the Lions and the Texans. So there should be 2 more wins for the Rams. The question is, will they cover the spread? I say they will. It's going to be interesting to see if Detroit can show any fight in this game. But the Rams are at home. I'm liking the Rams in this game, and I just think it's going to be a total domination from top to bottom. Give me the Rams -15.5. The Houston Texans and the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 17-point favorites. There is almost nothing going right for the Texans right now. I mean, David Mills, he's trying. I'll give him that. 29 for 43, 243 yards. But 2 picks. It's just, I guess they're going to move on to Tyrod Taylor here. It's unbelievable how this team is just completely falling apart. But yeah, the Deshaun Watson thing just really, and then J.J. Watt. I mean, they scored 3 points against a Colts team that's given up 25 or more in the first 5 games. There's no sign of hope here for this Texans team. I don't even know how they have a win. Cardinals, on the other hand, they showed that even without their best players and without their coach, they can still, or they're a top defensive guy, they can still play great. And without Kingsbury, they still scored 37 against a pretty good Cleveland Browns team. At least I still think so, even though they have their issues. Kyler Murray is on a roll right now. 30 points for the 5th time in 6 games. Arizona's still undefeated. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't think they're going to go undefeated all the way throughout the entire season. but they are looking amazing right now. They have everything working on offense. I think the defense will pick it up here against Houston. This should be a blowout here for Arizona because Houston just has no life right now. They have zero pulse. I'm going to take Arizona here. 17 points. I like the number. Give me the Cardinals minus 17 over the Texans. The Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 13-point favorites. Bears, I'll give them that. I'll give them that they really tried against Green Bay. They were without their top two running backs, without Montgomery, without Williams. They hung in there early, but not really. They were terrible on third down. Justin Fields tried late, but there's just too many problems here with Chicago. That Fields is trying, but he's not there yet. I mean, obviously, he's a rookie, so you don't expect him to be. So this is if there's good news for Chicago, is that this is probably the last year you're going to have to deal with Aaron Rodgers in your division, assuming that he's out of there, which we all believe he will. Just Chicago, just very not a great team right now. Very weak on offense, it looks like. Tampa Bay beat Philadelphia. They didn't cover the spread, which I would have liked, but even with they were down four defensive guys. Sherman left the game in the first quarter, and they were still great. Brady, Fournette, they both did their job. It's just amazing how many they really beat up on defense, and that's going to be a problem here in this game. Is can they cover the 13 points, despite the fact that the fact that the Tampa Bay's defense really has all these issues and all these injuries. I think the offense will continue to carry. I think everybody will be healthy there. Brady, Fournette, I think they'll all be, I think they'll all dominate this game. They're going to be at home. Chicago's going to have problems like they've had all year. This will be, I think, an easy Tampa Bay win. I don't see a reason for it to not be at this point. Tampa Bay's just in just a really good position right now. Give me the Buccaneers minus 13. The Indianapolis Colts and the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are 4-point favorites. Indianapolis really did the job here against Houston yesterday. They came after a terrible loss against Baltimore. They bounced right back, and that was the perfect opponent for them to bounce back against. And they scored 31. Jonathan Taylor, I hope the Colts use him more because he's awesome. We saw so many good runs from him yesterday. Finished with 145 yards on 14 carries. Just feed him the beast. Feed the beast. And I think they can really go far with Taylor. I don't know how far, but he can do much better if they give him the ball more. And now the Colts have an easy schedule coming up. I mean, they've got San Francisco, Tennessee, the Jets, and the Jaguars. And they have somebody else in between there. But those are 4 of the next 5 stops. Pretty good. The Colts are not out of it yet. If they can take care of this really weak part of the schedule, they can be right back over 500. San Francisco coming off a bye, losing to Arizona there. They hung in there with Arizona, which I'll give them that. But we think Jimmy G is going to be back for this game. We're not 100% sure. I'm going to take Indianapolis here. Again, I could see this being a really close 2-3 point game. This is not a very appealing game for me. It's not that the Niners are bad. It's just that again the injuries there. They seem like they've had a little bit of struggles here as of late. Again, coming off the loss to Arizona, coming off the bye. So I could see this being a very close game. I could see the Colts covering this the spread here, making this a 2-3 point game. I still think this will be a San Francisco win, but I think Indianapolis will cover the spread there. They'll make it close. They'll make it exciting. I'll take the Colts. Give me the Colts +4. The Monday night game, the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. The Saints are 3.5 point favorites. Saints just came off a bye, and they beat Washington there, 3-2. I mean, they're doing right. They have 8 starters missing, and they're still playing. They're still hanging in there. They're 3-2 right now. Seattle, tough loss against Pittsburgh yesterday. They're trying without Geno, without Wilson. They have Geno in there. And Geno actually was not bad. Geno had 4 scoring drives in the second half. But then he fumbled while scrambling. So that's the Geno Smith I know. It's just, without Wilson, there's almost no player for his team as important for his team as Russell Wilson is. This is like a LeBron 2007 Cavs kind of thing. Like without him, they are dead. And we've seen that here. That, as good as Seattle and having their home field and everything, and as much as they try, they don't have the guy that's been able to lead them there, and so it's a tough situation here. I'm going to take New Orleans. Just they have a starting quarterback as opposed to Seattle. They better hope that Wilson comes back here as quick as possible and healthy as possible, so they can get going. They can try to make something out of the season. But I just feel like New Orleans, with Jameis, with those guys, they'll really take advantage of a bad Seattle team here. Coming off a bye, I'm liking the Saints. Give me the Saints -3 That's it for now, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, make sure you subscribe down below. I'll be back to break down the Chiefs-Titans game tomorrow, and then I'll have more videos throughout the week. We have NBA starting soon. We'll have that, baseball videos, and then we'll have every touchdown on Sunday, and then predictions for Week 8 on Monday. Take care and God bless.